Hey, everyone, and welcome back. Today we're taking a deep dive into something I think we all struggle with at one point or another, and that's self-doubt.
Oh, for sure.
We're going to use this guide called Overcoming Self-Doubt, a guide to self-belief.
Right.
Got to break it down.
Yeah.
And this guide is packed with all sorts of chapters and strategies and steps you can take.
Cool.
So if you've ever felt like you're just not good enough, or maybe you've questioned whether you can actually achieve the goals you've set for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, hasn't everybody?
So this is for you. Self-doubt is something we all deal with.
Yeah.
It's just part of being human, but the trick is to not let it take over.
Right.
And this guide gives us a ton of tools
to
help us think about it differently and start to build our confidence.
So let's jump right into the guide.
Okay.
It starts out by defining self-doubt and its opposite, which is self-belief.
Right.
It says that self-doubt is like a lack of confidence in yourself and what you can do.
And then self-belief is pretty much the flip side of that, like a deep trust in yourself and your abilities.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I think it's really more about how self-doubt makes you feel.
Right.
It's not just a definition.
Absolutely.
It's like this heavy weight
Yeah.
dragging you down.
Absolutely. And this guide really dives into how that feeling can affect us.
Right.
It talks about how self-doubt leads to putting things off, procrastination, missing out on opportunities, and even, like chronic stress and anxiety.
Wow.
And then it just becomes this awful cycle.
Yeah.
Like the more we doubt ourselves, the less we try.
Yeah.
And then we feel like we have even more proof that we're not good enough.
Right. So it's like...
That's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So where does all this self-doubt come from in the first place?
Right.
Well, the guide digs into a few sources, and I bet we can all see ourselves in some of these.
Probably.
It talks about how experiences we had as kids, especially things our parents or caregivers told us, can kind of plant these seeds of self-doubt.
Yeah, like early on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Even little comments that seem harmless at the time, like, be careful, you'll hurt yourself. Or, maybe that's not really for you.
Right.
Those can build up over time and really affect how we see ourselves.
Totally. And the guide also brings up how toxic relationships can impact us.
Yeah.
And I mean, this could be personal relationships or work relationships.
Yeah, both.
If you're always being criticized or put down,
Right.
it can really eat away at your self-worth.
It's tough to believe in yourself when you're constantly being knocked down.
And it makes it harder to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
So it's really important to recognize those patterns.
Yeah, absolutely.
And see how they might be feeding your self-doubt.
The guide really stresses that we have the power to choose,
Yeah.
to have healthier relationships that actually help us instead of bringing us down. It's so true. And then, of course, there's the fear of failure,
Oh, yeah.
which the guide points out is a huge driver of self-doubt.
Makes sense.
We're so afraid of messing up or not being good enough that sometimes we just don't even try.
You play it safe.
Exactly. It's like we're stuck in this comfort zone, too afraid to take a risk.
Right, because what if we fall on our face?
Right.
Yeah.
But the guide actually encourages us to see failure as a part of growing and learning.
Interesting.
Yeah. It says we should see setbacks as opportunities to get better and build resilience.
So kind of flip that fear on its head.
Exactly. And it's interesting how the guide connects this to the way society conditions us. We're often taught that failure is something to be ashamed of.
Right.
But the guide argues that embracing failure is actually the key to building confidence
Oh, wow.
and achieving success
So failure is good.
in a way, right?
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, and it actually gives examples of successful people
Really?
who've had tons of setbacks and failures.
But it was their ability to learn from those experiences and keep going
Right.
that helped them succeed.
So persistence is key.
Yeah, and it's not just about ignoring those failures.
Right.
It's about actually learning from them.
Gotcha.
So we've talked about where self-doubt comes from.
Yeah.
But now let's look at what the guide says we can do about it.
Okay. I'm ready.
It really stresses recognizing your strengths and accomplishments,
Okay.
even the small ones.
Yeah, sometimes we forget about those.
Right. We tend to downplay our achievements and focus on what we see as our weaknesses.
Yeah, we're our own world critics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the guide wants us to shift our perspective
Okay.
and celebrate all our wins, both big and small.
I like that.
Yeah. It's about building a positive image of yourself
Right.
by acknowledging what you're capable of.
So recognizing your strengths.
Exactly. And the guide also talks about the power of positive self-talk.
Okay.
Like replacing negative thoughts with affirmations
Yeah.
and encouraging messages.
Okay, so like instead of saying, I can't do this, You say, I can do this.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it might sound kind of cheesy,
Yeah, I was going to say.
but there's actually science to back it up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, research shows that our thoughts can seriously impact how we feel and act.
Interesting.
So by choosing more positive and supportive self-talk, you can actually rewire your brain
Wow.
for more confidence and self-belief.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful stuff.
I like it.
So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back,
Okay.
we'll dig into even more strategies from this guide.
Sounds good.
Stay with us. Welcome back, everybody. Let's pick up where we left off exploring this guide, Overcoming Self-Doubt, a guide to self-belief.
Yeah, in the last part we were talking about how the guide stresses recognizing our strengths and using positive self-talk.
You're right.
It seems simple enough, but I can already imagine how tough that could be.
Oh, definitely.
For someone who's really struggling with self-doubt. Yeah, that's why this guide has a whole chapter on practical stuff you can do
Oh, cool.
to actually shift your behavior and build real confidence.
Okay, so what kind of stuff were we talking about?
Well, one strategy I thought was interesting was setting small, achievable goals.
Okay.
Instead of going for this huge, scary goal that seems impossible.
Right. It can feel overwhelming.
Yeah. The guide says break it down into smaller steps.
Yeah, makes it less intimidating.
Right. Things that feel doable and motivating.
Yeah, that makes sense. Achieving even small goals can make you feel good
Totally.
and give you that momentum to keep going.
It's like that saying, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Exactly.
Yeah. And each small win helps us believe in ourselves more.
Right. It's like a positive feedback loop.
Exactly. And the guide also talks about facing our fears head on.
Okay, now this is where it gets interesting. How do they suggest we do that?
Well, they say we need to figure out exactly what we're afraid of,
Okay.
the specific fears that are holding us back, and then gradually expose ourselves to them.
So like baby steps.
Yeah, but in a safe and controlled way.
Okay, so not just jumping into the deep end.
Right, because avoiding our fears only makes them stronger.
Makes sense.
But when we confront them, we often realize they're not as scary as we thought.
So it's about proving to ourselves we can handle those challenges.
Exactly, and the guide gives examples of how to apply this to different areas.
Like what?
Well, like public speaking,
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
social anxiety, or even the fear of failing at work.
Right. And what I really appreciate is how the guide talks about self-compassion.
Oh, yeah, that's so important.
It reminds us we don't have to be perfect.
We're going to make mistakes.
Right. And it's okay.
It's part of the process.
Yes, it's about being kind to ourselves
Absolutely.
and learning from those mistakes without beating ourselves up.
Right. It's about having a positive attitude, even when things are tough.
So it sounds like this guide is all about changing how we see ourselves. Instead of being critical and doubtful, we need to be accepting and supportive.
It's about building that self-love and acceptance.
And a willingness to grow.
Absolutely. And remember, this is an ongoing journey, not a one-time fix.
Right. It's a process.
Yeah.
And speaking of support, the guide also talks about having a good network of people around you.
Oh, yeah. The people we spend time with can really make a difference.
Totally.
The guide encourages us to connect with people who believe in us.
Yeah. People who lift you up.
Exactly. They give us encouragement and make us feel good.
Because being around negativity can be really draining.
It sucks the life out of you.
Yeah. But having a supportive tribe can give you that strength to keep going.
Absolutely. It's like having a cheering section.
Right. And the guide also says it's important to set boundaries
Oh, yeah.
with people who bring you down or reinforce your self-doubt.
Sometimes you got to cut those people out.
Yeah. It's about prioritizing your own well-being
Right.
and creating a positive environment.
That supports you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not just about adding positive influences. It's also about subtracting the negative ones.
Yeah. Get rid of the bad stuff.
Yeah. And the guide actually gives tips on how to do that in a healthy way.
That's helpful.
Yeah. And another interesting chapter focuses on how our physical well-being impacts self-belief.
Oh, yeah. Taking care of ourselves is huge.
The guide says we need to prioritize sleep,
Right.
nutrition, and exercise.
Those are the basics.
Yeah, they're like the foundation for
Yeah.
building self-belief.
Makes sense. When you feel good physically, you tend to feel more confident,
Yeah, you have more energy.
more resilient
Right.
to face challenges.
And the guide specifically mentions exercise
Oh,
as a way to boost your mood,
yeah. Exercise is great for that.
reduce stress,
Are you sure?
and improve how your brain works.
No, it's not just about looking good.
Right. It's about feeling good mentally and emotionally too.
Exactly. It's about giving your mind and emotions the tools they need.
to thrive.
Yeah. And the guide also talks about mindfulness
Okay.
and things like meditation and deep breathing to help calm our minds and find some inner peace.
All right, so we're back for our final deep dive into this guide, Overcoming Self-Doubt, a guide to self-belief. And we've covered a lot.
Yeah, we've gone through understanding where self-doubt comes from.
Right, and then exploring ways to actually build confidence that lasts.
Right.
So in this last part, I'm really interested to see how the guide wraps it all up.
Yeah.
Like what kind of takeaways or action steps does it give us?
Well, one thing that stood out to me was the emphasis on sticking with it.
Okay. Persistence?
Yeah, and being kind to yourself, self-compassion.
Oh, yeah.
It reminds us that this isn't a quick fix.
Right.
Overcoming self-doubt is a journey. It takes time and understanding.
Yeah. It's easy to get discouraged when you don't see results right away.
Totally.
But the guide says we should see those setbacks as learning experience.
Right, as opportunities to grow.
So it's about embracing the whole journey.
Yeah, the ups and downs.
Yeah. Right. And trusting that you can evolve.
And become a more confident you.
I like that. But the guide also talks about visualization.
Okay.
And setting intentions.
Yeah.
Like creating a clear picture of the future you want and then taking steps to get there.
Okay, so you're basically programming your mind for success.
Exactly. It's like planting those seeds of self-belief.
That'll eventually grow.
Right. And the guide actually has exercises and prompts
Oh, cool.
to help you define your goals.
Nice.
Figure out what obstacles might be in your way and come up with strategies to overcome them.
So it's like having your own personal coach.
Yeah, kinda.
That's awesome.
So what's the final message the guide leaves us with?
It basically reminds us that we're worthy
Okay.
of happiness, success.
Yeah.
It encourages us to embrace our talents and abilities.
And never give up on our dreams.
Yeah, don't let those dreams die.
It's a really powerful message.
It is.
It's like a reminder that self-belief isn't about being arrogant
Right.
or having a big ego.
It's about knowing your worth.
Exactly. And recognizing your potential.
It's about shutting down that inner critic.
Yeah.
And replacing it with self-love and encouragement.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm feeling really inspired
Me too.
by all the wisdom and practical advice we've uncovered.
Yeah, there's so much good stuff in here.
It's clear that overcoming self-doubt is a journey,
It is.
but it's a journey worth taking.
Yeah, absolutely. And remember, you don't have to do it alone.
Right.
There are resources and tools and communities out there.
To support you.
Yeah, don't be afraid to reach out for help.
So to all our listeners out there who might be struggling with self-doubt,
Yeah.
remember this.
Okay, I'm listening.
You are capable of amazing things.
Yes, you are.
Believe in yourself, embrace your potential,
Don't hold back.
and never stop going after the life you want.
Yeah, keep striving.
And never underestimate the power of a single step.
Even a small one.
Exactly. Every step forward is a win.
It is. Celebrate those wins.
So thank you for joining us on this deep dive
Yeah, thanks for listening.
into overcoming self-doubt.
We hope this has been helpful.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights
Some tools to help you on your journey.
towards greater self-belief.
That's what it's all about.
Until next time, keep exploring
Yeah, keep learning.
and keep believing in yourself.
You got this.